Hi everyone, my name is Kinaryossy and I'm accompanied by Kaylin and Raditya. We're going to discuss regarding the Sino-Southeast Asian countries' relations that is contested by the South China Sea disputes. Enjoy! The contents of our presentation includes background, arguments, and conclusion. And without further ado, let's start with the background. In the South China Sea, the People's Republic of China claims territorial integrity over two groups of islands called the Paracel and Spratly Islands, and maritime rights over its adjacent waters. The PRC has not defined their claims as historical or legal. However, they have established the 9-dash line that encompasses most of the South China Sea and compromises the Southeast Asian countries' territorial integrity. In support of claiming the areas inside the 9-dash line as theirs, the Chinese government has increased its military presence in the South China Sea since the beginning of 2015. They had built human-made islands and military bases in the South China Sea, which triggers the disputes within the South China Sea. When being confronted regarding this matter, Hua Chunying, the spokesperson of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, claimed that China has no intention in disputing with Southeast Asian countries. Also stressed that it is China's legitimate right to deploy military facilities in order to defend their territorial islands. However, despite the claims of Hua Chunying and other Chinese officials, it is to be noted that the Chinese 9-dash line encompasses international waters and other countries' EEZ. Thus, the Chinese government is being accused of seeking hegemony and having an expansionist agenda. Countering the accusation, President Xi Jinping stressed that within the Chinese dream, China wants to build a moderately prosperous society and realize national rejuvenation. Within this prosperous society, Southeast Asian countries are included. Thus, they assured that Southeast Asian countries should not worry regarding the South China Sea militarization and claims. Plus, they would not hinder commercial vessels. However, Southeast Asian countries are still nervous by the Chinese presence in the South China Sea, as whichever controls the South China Sea is able to utilize the South China Sea's strategic geographical location for economic and military purposes. On top of that, China is not showing any signs of demilitarization, and it has become more and more aggressive towards Southeast Asian countries.
The importance of this topic is brought on by the rising tensions in the South China Sea due to the escalation of military presence that has the potential to destabilize Sino-Southeast Asia countries' relations. It is also caused by the militarization from several parties, some of which are China and Philippines with the aid of the United States. Therefore, this presentation seeks to elaborate more on how the increase of military presence in the South China Sea has shifted Sino-Southeast Asia countries' relations by focusing on three main countries: Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Why Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam? The discussion revolves around these three countries due to their increasing presence in the South China Sea and role in Southeast Asia, specifically in ASEAN. Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam are also actively against Chinese militarization in the South China Sea. In addition, the disputed area is also a key location in China's effort to create the 21st century maritime Silk Road.
Acknowledging the background, let's move on to the arguments. So what is going on between China and Philippines within the South China Sea? So in 2013, China breached Philippines' territorial integrity. This results in the arbitral proceedings claimed by the Philippines against China under Annex 7 of the UN clause. During the proceedings, Beijing was absent, and after the Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled that the Chinese doing within the Philippines territory is illegal, the Chinese government actively objects against the ruling. Besides that, the Chinese government has instead increased its aggression since then. They have been involved in multiple incidents within the Philippines nautical area, for example, targeting the BRP Conrado Yap near the Malampaya gas field of the West Philippine Sea. Seeing that China has no intention of backing down, Manila calls upon the Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951, which states that the US and Philippines were to defend one another in case of an attack. Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, confirmed that the Defense Pact applies in the South China Sea. Seeing that Manila calls for Washington for backup, the Chinese government since then has been actively commenting regarding the matters. For example, Hua Chunying sneered that China has no intention in seeking hegemony, unlike the United States. This infers that the rising tension between China and the US is not stopping anytime soon. Thus, if China decides to attack on Philippines, this will equal to an intensified aggression with the US, because China and the US has already been heating up since the trade war. And with the South China Sea, it will give the US more reason to attack on China. Thus, many scholars speculated that the South China Sea will end up in an inevitable war.
Malaysia can be seen as taking a soft balancing approach when it comes to its relations with China, especially under the leadership of Prime Minister Najib Razak. Looking at its history, China and Malaysia have always been close, and can be traced as far back as the pre-colonial era when the Malacca Sultanate cooperated with the Ming Dynasty. Malaysia was also one of the first ASEAN countries to establish diplomatic relations with China in the 20th century. Even so, Malaysia is not scared of pushing their own interests, proven when they submitted a joint submission with Vietnam to UNCLOS to extend their nautical shelf and oil exploration activities by state-owned Petronas in disputed waters, much under Chinese objection. Despite seemingly going against China's decisions, however, Malaysia also refuses to retaliate when China is pushing their own interests aggressively and side with the US, refusing to ban Chinese apps. With that said, it can be seen that Malaysia does not want to side with a major power and involve themselves much in their power politics. Both the US and China dwarfs Malaysia's economic and military capabilities, and to side with either would likely cause significant consequences to their own well-being.
Sino-Vietnam relations, changing alliances. Increase in Chinese militarization has caused rising tensions between China and Vietnam. Evidence of China's military aggressions towards Vietnam can be seen through various events. First is the sinking of Vietnamese fishing boat in April 2020. The second event is a scientific research conducted by China near the Vietnamese Economic Exclusive Zone in 2019. The third event can be seen from the appearance of Chinese bombers in a disputed area, specifically in the Parcel Islands. Because of this, Vietnam's usual foreign policy, commonly known as the Three No's, has undergone construction in light of the rising tensions in its borders. The changes in foreign policy allows Vietnam to take military action when felt needed against China. Vietnam's white defense paper has implied that China's aggressiveness in the South China Sea will no longer be tolerated and that Vietnam is prepared to take measures in order to ensure its territorial claim in the region. The alteration illustrates Vietnam's stance and response to Chinese military aggression. Bilateral tensions between China and Vietnam due to the South China Sea dispute has put a strain in Sino-Vietnam relations and pushed Vietnam towards other countries such as the US and Russia. This can be seen through two different evidence. The first one is increase in military cooperation that can be seen from the sending of US aircraft the first time since the Vietnam War, and the second is illustrated through security and military cooperation with Russia, which can be seen as Russia is the main weapons importer to Vietnam. It is important to mention Vietnam's economic dependency towards China. While China is Vietnam's main trading partner and is economically dependent, this dependency has decreased significantly over the years. This can be illustrated by Vietnam's involvement in the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, which has allowed Vietnam to import raw materials from other countries and also export to those countries as well. And also trade agreements with the EU, which has allowed European countries to import goods from Vietnam much more easily. Therefore, even though Vietnam has openly protested towards China's increasing aggression, it is important to remember that Hanoi has missed several opportunities to confront China regarding her actions directly.
From the presented arguments regarding the current relations of China and Southeast Asian countries such as Vietnam, Malaysia, and Philippines, it can be inferred that China shows no sign of demilitarizing in the South China Sea. According to Dr. Li Nan, a Chinese military expert, if the People's Republic of China were to erase the 9-dash line and demilitarize the South China Sea, it could strengthen ties with Southeast Asian countries and end 90% of territorial disputes in the South China Sea. However, seeing that controlling the South China Sea to achieve their interests or the Chinese dream is more significant or important than respecting the territorial integrity of Southeast Asian countries to China, it can be inferred that the People's Republic of China is no friend of the Southeast Asian countries when it comes to the South China Sea.
As it has been elaborated before, it can be said that China is not making themselves look better in the eyes of Southeast Asian countries, and their aggressive claims in the South China Sea and increase in militarization throughout the region has strained the bilateral relations between China and the disputing states. This shows how China is prioritizing their self-interest of maintaining their territory in the South China Sea rather than maintaining their friendly relations with ASEAN member states. That's all from our group, guys. I hope you enjoyed our presentation. Please feel free to give us feedback and ask questions. Thank you.